Hello, amazing humans. My name is Ashley Looker, and welcome to Wildly Free Reflections and the Connection Project podcast. I'm here, I'm back. I am not only the founder and creator of Wildly Free Reflections and the Connection Project podcast, but I am also the abandoner of such things. So I just wanted to take a moment today and reintroduce myself to you all, to the newbies who might be here watching this, and to the people who have stuck with me as I abandoned this beautiful platform this past year. So let me just give you a quick little backstory of who I am, why I'm here, how I got here. I love Substack. I love Substack. But last year, I got into a little bit of a pickle. I did something I felt like I should do, which is get on YouTube. I thought, hey, as a business owner, as somebody who really wants to grow, like get their content out there, YouTube sounds like the smart choice. Like I should definitely be on YouTube. It is a search engine. It is great for marketing, blah, blah, blah. Right. And so that is what I did. I was like, all right, I created this, YouTube marketing plan and literally went live one time on YouTube this last year. And I'm telling you what, if you could see my skin crawl, it would be such a huge indicator of how terrible it felt for me in my body being on YouTube. But of course, it was like, I should be on here. I should do this. This is good for growth, blah, 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 blah. But I failed to recognize like what feels good. I actually didn't fail to recognize that. I got off YouTube almost immediately because I was like, you know what? This doesn't feel right. I can no longer abandon this feeling of like, this doesn't feel right. I don't have an explanation for it. There's no logic to it. It just doesn't feel like the place I want to be. And so by that time, I was like, not only did I abandon YouTube, but I abandoned Substack and all of these wonderful, amazing humans who have decided to subscribe to Wildly Free Reflection. So my apologies, but I know that y'all can understand because we live in a very busy world. And for me, I am a full-time student. I am a full-time business owner. We moved recently, so I'm taking care of a house that is like way too big for us. Like there was a lot going on last year. A lot of unexpected things happened. I ended up going to Barcelona and speaking on stage at the Barcelona Journaling Festival, which was absolutely amazing, but something I was not necessarily like fully prepared for. And also so grateful that I got that opportunity. So, I ended up sad abandoning this beautiful platform. And it feels so, so good to be back and to be recommitting to being here. There's something about Substack that just feels so inviting. It's like, I know my people are here. I know that there are people here who are empathetic, who are highly sensitive, who are maybe high achievers, creatives, people who feel a lot, people who, want a lot for the world, who care about the world. Those are the kinds of people that I really want to connect with. And those are the kinds of people I know are here on Substack. And this is why I've recommitted to coming back here and showing up at least a couple times a month and, sharing what's on my mind, sharing what's on my heart. I think that's something that so many of us are wanting more of these days is this depth, this connection, this intimacy, this vulnerability that so many of us are not getting right now. We live incredibly busy lives, full lives. And I keep hearing from, my clients, and I definitely feel this myself as a highly sensitive person, is like, I want depth. I'm tired of the busyness. I'm tired of the hustle. I'm tired of the pushing all the time. I just want to feel like I'm living a life that I'm proud of, where I'm happy, where I feel content. Things may not be perfect, but this is my life that I have chosen. And so that is why I'm so excited to be here. This feels like alignment for me, right? Whereas YouTube, I was just like, ah, I'm going to like crawl out of my skin. If you could have like, taken a picture of me, you would have been like, whoa, this girl is very uncomfortable. And it's not that, I shy away from doing the uncomfortable thing. It just didn't make sense for me in my body. And I don't have to explain anything else beyond that. If it doesn't make sense for you, like, fine, right? And so here I am. I'm back here, and I just want to take a moment to clarify my purpose, what you're going to get here, who I am. I am, like I said, a highly sensitive human. I am an empowerment coach. I've been running my own business for 14 years now. I love it so much. I have created something that is very, very near and dear to my heart called Joy School, which is a year-long journaling community membership where we focus on joy for a full year. I've built and developed a curriculum, all scientifically backed, about how to create a happy life. I think we all want to be happy, right? But we don't know how to do it. We don't know how to be happy because there are so many things that get in the way. And this is where I want to take that conversation a little bit deeper. I have my newsletter, and now I have this platform, and I want to have deeper conversations about these things, the things that really matter, the things that are meaningful. So I just, instead of, talking about my credentials and all of those things, I really want to talk about my values, because this will really give you a good indicator if you're in the right spot. One of my top values is freedom, wildly free reflections. Like, I really want us to feel free in our lives by choosing joy. I am deeply, deeply connected to the value of connection, which kind of blows my mind because I am such an introvert, but over the years, really discovering how necessary connection is, connection to ourselves, connection to our lives, to universe, God, other people, the things that matter. Connection is absolutely necessary in order for us to be happy. And joy is no longer something, it's no longer a non-negotiable, right? Like, it is something that we absolutely have to choose, which is another reason why joy is a huge value of mine. We're going to be talking a lot about that, of course. If you have been around me anytime at all, like, that I am all about joy. I'm all about journaling. And I want to thread in some of these other topics that really funnel us toward our joy and create really joy-filled lives. So definitely going to be talking about that. I'm really concerned, I guess, really deeply concerned, really deeply passionate about our inner worlds, our inner life, and how we're caring for ourselves right now. I mean, there is so much horrific things happening in the world, and we weren't good at taking care of ourselves fucking before, and now there's like even more happening, even more escalation, even more violence, even more injustice that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. Like, our poor little nervous systems are just out here struggling, and we need to be caring for ourselves. We need to be connecting back to the things that really matter. Like, how's our heart? How is our soul? How is our body doing? We are so focused on the things that are happening outside of ourselves that we dismiss this beautiful internal world and internal environment that needs tending to. And so we're going to be talking a lot about that. I want to go way deep, like way fucking deeper into that. I want to talk about spirituality. As a Pisces, this is something that is so important to me, and especially this year, moving into 2026. Finally, Saturn is moving out of our chart. Thank you. Bye now. And eliminating a lot of those limitations that we've been experiencing. And I just want this sense of freedom and joy and expansion, and also depth, and really tapping into the spiritual side of being and being human. This is something that is always been important to me, but is often like shoved to the side, right? That is not tended to. And I really want to talk more about that and what that can look like for us, because it is such a healing part of our lives that many of us are not making time for, myself included. And so I also want to talk about fulfillment, right? How do we become more fulfilled in our lives, and how do we grow? I want to talk about meaningful growth, not just, personal growth and development and like checking all of the boxes, but what does it look like to integrate the things that we are learning? That is something that we definitely do inside Joy School, which I'll be talking a lot more about as the weeks and the months roll on. But with that being said, some of my values stated out there, you might already be feeling like, okay, this is maybe a place that I want to stay. This is a place that, I feel like really resonates with who I am. She has values that I definitely have, but I want to talk for a moment about the people that tend to be attracted to me, or the people that I attract into my world. I am a very, very authentic person. It is something that one of my biggest struggles in my life, to be honest. Authenticity is directly related to our happiness, but it is something that I have worked really hard for. I'm definitely not perfect at it, but that's what this podcast is going to be for me, is a big practice in that. A big practice of like showing up, feeling silly, feeling weird, feeling imperfect, not feeling like I'm enough, and just being that fucking example, because I'm here to remind people that you're not alone. But the people that I tend to attract into my world are very deep humans. They are really deep feelers. They are highly, highly, highly empathetic, maybe have been called too much in their life. They are highly sensitive humans, so they feel a lot, they sense a lot, they can see a lot, they absorb a lot. Like, we as highly sensitive humans have really learned, maybe the hard way, how to protect our energy. This is an ongoing experiment and practice for me, to be honest. But I attract people in who really fucking care, who really care about the world, who want to feel proud about the lives that they are living, who want to feel like they're in integrity, who are living truthful, living in alignment with their values, and feeling that alignment. Like, and again, that's what this podcast is really about. Me, especially coming back for this, reintroduction. This is about alignment for me. It really is. It's about letting go of like, oh, this is the external expectation. And like, oh, but fuck that. This is the internal compass that I am feeling. And this is the place that I'm going to move forward in. So it's that alignment, right? It's that like little 1% adjustment in terms of like, there we go. Now I've clicked in. Now this is the path that I'm going to go down. So introspective, caring, kind, tired of performing, tired of people pleasing. People that tend to be around me are like incredibly high achieving, like they have this very sensitive, deep aspect to themselves, but also are like, let's fucking kick some ass. Like, I am a type A ambitious human. And for many people like that, we really have to learn how to care for ourselves, right? How to slow down, how to pull back, how to have those boundaries. And so if that's you, like, I just want to welcome you. I want to give you a big, big hug. And so it's interesting because this is who I am. It's like, I feel like I'm one person, like two people in one body. Like, I'm this don't fuck with me kind of person, like ambitious. Nobody can tell me that I can't do something. And this like other person who's like sucking her thumb in the corner, like very introverted, does not want to be around people and just wants to write poetry and read books like in the woods all day long. Like, I have these two contradictory parts of myself, and that's how many of us feel, right? We're navigating this world, being multidimensional and having all of these different parts. And can we show up authentically, in these spaces together and be ourselves, as we get to know each other a little bit more over these next several months and weeks. You're probably going to see lots of different sides of me. You're going to probably see crying Ashley. You're probably going to see really silly, weird, quirky Ashley. You're probably going to see really serious, let's dive deeper into this Ashley. You're going to see all kinds of parts of me, and that terrifies me. And also it really excites me as well. So what else can we be expecting? I think I've already told y'all about, 2 times a month I'll be showing up here, whether that's a writing format or a podcast. I really do prefer like voice, which is interesting because I've always struggled with using my voice. I've always struggled with showing up, sharing how I feel, sharing my thoughts. I have really struggled with the inner wound of like needing to feel liked, needing to be liked, all of my worth and enoughness being in that basket. And I'm really gonna do my best here to show up in integrity and in authenticity, and use my voice imperfectly. And hopefully that inspires you to also use your voice imperfectly. I really want to do a lot of reflection. Have your journal ready. There are things that we need to contemplate, things that we can work through together. I want these podcasts, these reflections, whatever the fuck we want to call them, to be an opportunity for us to pause, to think, to go a little bit deeper. Each episode, I'm going to give us things to consider before, like questions to ask, like to kind of prompt ourselves, like, okay, where am I with this? How authentic am I being? Like, what is my truth? Those are things that I really want us to be thinking about, that you're not just listening to this on default, but maybe you're out on a walk and this is something that you can contemplate and take with you along the way. So the Substack, the Wildly Free Reflections, is going to be a place for reflection, questions, contemplation, slowing down, and really making meaning in our lives, like creating depth and meaning, creating a relationship, intimacy. You can definitely expect, to feel like this is a soft place to land and an opportunity for you to like pause and come back to yourself. I really hope that this is a place that feels joyful for you, that you are excited to like come back and talk about these things. And I wonder what Ashley's going to talk about this month, or I wonder, what journal prompt she's going to have for us, or I wonder like where her mind is at these days. Like, I really hope that this is a place where like, ooh, like Ashley has another episode out. One could only hope, right? I think that's everybody's dream as a creator, as a, intuitive, as somebody who feels really passionate about the work that they're doing. Like, that is like a dream come true for sure. So this is going to be like, not like step 1, this is how you do it. Like, that's not what we're doing. This is going to be about, what feels right for you? What feels true for you in this? This is about resonance. Like, what resonates with you about what I'm saying? What is hitting a chord with you? That is where you need to look, right? And it's like noticing like, oh, she said you can't be inauthentic and also happy. Like, ooh, what does that mean for me? Paying attention to those moments where you go, oh, okay. Like this is something I really need to pay attention to. So that resonance, right? Feeling connected to self, feeling connected to others, connection to the things that really matter in our lives. That's where I want to go together. All right. So before I end today, I just want to talk for a moment about authenticity. So one of the things that's going to be really helpful for me and my brain, I haven't been diagnosed with ADD, but I feel like so many of us have these like tendencies, right? So for my brain, as we move forward in the Connection Project and Wildly Free Reflections, each month here, the things that I'm going to be talking about each month is going to follow the Joy School curriculum. So these again are the scientifically proven aspects, qualities, concepts that we can tap into to feel more joyful in our lives. And we're starting off in January 2026 with authenticity and really tapping into our authentic code. So that's what I'm going to be talking about this month. Next month, it is all about self-compassion. So you can expect me to be talking more about self-compassion next month. I'll probably share some stories about like how much of a dickhead I am to myself. Things like that, you know. We'll be talking about connection. What are some other ones? Gratitude, forgiveness, generosity. The curriculum will be below this video so you can see what to expect in the coming months. I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited. So let's just talk a moment about authenticity. Briefly, we'll just cover what authenticity is and what it isn't. And here are just a few things to consider as we talk about this today. So, what does it look like for me to live my personal truth? What is my personal truth? Remember that story I just told y'all about feeling like I should get on YouTube, but then getting this just like overwhelming sense of like ick and grossness, right? Like in that moment, it was like, okay, this is not true for me. This might be where I should be, but this is not where I can live. Like I cannot be showing up here. And so that felt like a personal truth for me, right? So what is your personal truth? What would it look like for you to really be tapping into your personal truth? Where am I hiding or playing small? Authenticity is not about like sharing. Well, I'll get into that in a moment, actually. But just a question to consider is where am I hiding or playing small? So many of us do that, especially if you are a feeler, if you are an empath. Whew, it is really easy to like just shove those things down, right? Especially if you're somebody who has been told like, oh, you're too much, or you're so like over the top, or you're so emotional. Ugh, God, barf, right? Another question to consider is what small unconscious habits are slowly chipping away at my authenticity that I need to change? This was something that came up for me a lot a few years ago. Just to give a quick example, I basically quit drinking, became very sober curious a few years ago. Never like struggled with addiction or anything like that, but alcohol was always a part of my life, you know, in my 20s, like very much like party girl Ashley. I love to dance, like going out all the time. And it just has continued to be a part of my life up until a few years ago when I just started getting this like ping, right? This hunch that like, this is just not a part of who I am anymore. And so that's what I'm talking about when I ask this question. What small unconscious habits are slowly chipping away at your authenticity that needs to change? Like, I just felt like this isn't something that I need in my life anymore. This is not something that like supports me. This isn't who I am. This isn't how I identify. And it actually makes me feel like shit. This is not moving me closer to my authentic self. So I'm going to pull back from that, right? So what is that for you? And last, but certainly not least, how authentic am I? How authentic am I showing up in my life, in my relationships? Where do I feel safe to show up as my authentic self? That's a great question to ask yourself because you've got to feel safe, right? And my hope and something that will continue moving through together is that you at least feel safe showing up with yourself, showing up, you know, in the messiness of being human, being honest about how you're feeling, about your thoughts, you know, writing those things down in our journals together. So those are a few of the things to consider as we talk about what authenticity is and what it isn't. And just side note, like I said earlier, this is continuing to be a practice for me. You know, I am not perfectly authentic. Like that is not the case. And that's not what authenticity is. Authenticity is not about perfection, right? But, you know, I fumble. I tend to mask up still sometimes. I tend to pretend. And that's part of being human. So authenticity is not about perfection. All right. And I am not going to sit over here and pretend to like be showing up perfectly authentic all of the time. All right. As a business owner too, like there are parts of me that like my clients don't get to see. Like that's not for them. I don't want that to be for them. Like I get to pick and choose who I show up as and in front of who, and it's up to me to make that integral decision without masking up, right? Like when I show up with my clients, they get true, authentic, professional Ashley. When I show up with my girlfriends, they get true, authentic friend Ashley, right? So again, we get to choose these people that we are. Like this isn't about perfect all the time person, human being, right? That's just my very humble opinion. But as you can already see, like I feel like authenticity is a very simple word, but it is really fucking complicated. And it got a really bad rap for a really long time. Like as all of these reality shows, this is when I started to see authenticity getting this like bad rap. And it broke my heart, to be honest, because I was like, what? Like people are like, oh yeah, just be authentic, like blah, blah, blah. Like started talking a lot of shit about this word. And I was like, no way are people like shunning this word and, pretending like it's not important. Like it is so fucking important. This is such an important practice for us, especially when it comes to happiness. And, I think it just got overused and people, especially with reality TV, there was a lot of inauthenticity and showing up in a certain way and being told what to do by producers and that kind of stuff. And so I think for many of us, it did put a really bad taste in our mouth. Like, what is authentic? What is real? And as we are sitting here today, this is a question I think so many of us are going to have to continue to grapple with, right? Like with the advancement of AI, I can't tell you how many times I've been on Instagram and been like, wait, is that real? Wait, is that real or is that AI? Like, this is the question of the next century, potentially. Like, is that real or is that AI, right? Like, now we have to really use our discernment. We have to really use our intuition, like, and checking in with ourselves about what is real, what feels real, and what isn't. So can we do that moving forward, right? That is my hope for all of us. So here's what I believe authenticity is. Authenticity is really being honest about who you actually are moment to moment. Like I said before, you're going to get all kinds of Ashley. I'm sure. I am absolutely sure of it, right? Can you be honest about who you actually are moment to moment without shape shifting, in front of certain people, right? Putting on a mask, being someone you aren't. I don't think that there's anything wrong with, oh, I'm going to obviously show up a little bit different in front of my boss versus how I would be showing up in front of like my partner or my spouse, right? Different relationship, different vibe, but I can still be who I am in those relationships. I can still show up honestly. I can still, be funny. I can still be quirky. I can still be deep. Like whoever you are, whoever you consider yourself to be, you can still be that person in these moments. So being honest about where you actually are and who you actually are, letting your values lead your choices. This is detrimental to our authenticity, right? Again, going back to the stupid YouTube example, not aligned with my values. Not aligned with my values. That is why I am back here, which is really, really exciting. So letting your values lead your choices. When you are not leading with your values or making choices based on your values, life definitely feels off. Life definitely feels funky. Life does not feel good when we are, a value of ours is joy or happiness or freedom, and we're making choices that go against those inherent values of ours. It makes a lot of sense, right? And it becomes really clear in those moments, like how it feels for us, like when we're not making those choices out of integrity with our values. Whew. This is a big one because I've struggled with this for so long. But not abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. I think that's authenticity. So, not abandoning your values, not abandoning your truth, not abandoning who you are to make other people comfortable or to ensure that other people like you or that you get the job or you get the gig or, that person will go out with you a second time. Like, we have to prioritize ourselves in order to be happy and in order to be authentic. Whew. Authenticity is choosing presence over performance. And authenticity is, last but certainly not least, I think it is really a daily practice. It is a daily reckoning almost, right? Like we're going to be pulled in so many different directions every single day. We're going to be asked to show up differently. We're going to be asked to do things outside of our integrity. We're going to be asked to go off on that fucking person on Instagram because they don't agree with what we're saying. Like we're going to be pulled in many, many directions. And it is a constant practice to be authentic. And to not abandon ourselves in that process. This is about integrity over relatability, right? Like some people are going to like you and some people won't. Some people will resonate with what you have to say and some people won't. And we have to find a way to be okay with that. We really have to find a way to be okay with that. This is about truth over perfection. And this is about depth over visibility, right? Like over the numbers, over the followers, over the money. This is really, I think authenticity is about the depth and the truth of who we are versus doing what we think is popular or trendy. So what authenticity is not, all right? This is really where the clarity starts to land for a lot of people when we talk about what authenticity isn't. Authenticity is not oversharing or emotional dumping, right? We can do that with certain people in our lives. I, overshare with my husband all the time. But he's a safe person for me who loves me and accepts me for who I am, no matter what, right? No matter what I'm sharing or not sharing. So authenticity is not oversharing. It is not emotionally dumping on other people, especially people who don't have capacity or who are unavailable to hold that space for yourself. Authenticity is not about having it all figured out. Like I said, this is me practicing authenticity every single day, and I'm going to do it imperfectly. And I'm not going to make apologies about that. I'm not going to make apologies about that anymore. So authenticity is not having it all figured out. Nobody has it figured out. Nobody. Authenticity is not about saying everything that crosses your mind. And it's not about being the same person you were 5 years ago, right? We evolve as human beings. Our tastes change. Our desires change. Our values may even change over time, right? So authenticity is not stagnant. It is a development. It is an evolution of who we are. And so knowing that to be true, right? Leaning a little bit more into that evolution and giving ourselves permission to change and evolve. The more we learn, the more we grow, the more we develop, the more depth we create, the more intimacy we create, the more we get to know ourselves. So important, right? So important. So authenticity is not about exposure. It's not about being in front of everybody all the time, right? It's not about being on stage. It's not about tap dancing. It's not about being visible all the time. Authenticity can really be broken down to one thing, which is alignment. Alignment with who you are in this moment. your desires in this moment, your needs in this moment, your emotions in this moment. That is authenticity. So I hope that makes it a little bit more clear for you. And I would love to know your thoughts about authenticity. What does it look like for you? How do you define it? That is what really, really matters. And if you would like, feel free to drop comments below to any of those questions that I asked us, those questions to consider. Take those questions out on a walk with you, write them down in your journal, explore them a little bit more, because you're going to get to know yourself on an even deeper level when you do. So welcome back, everyone, to Wildly Free Reflections and the Connection Project podcast. I'm so grateful to be back, and I am so grateful that you are here. And I'm so grateful and excited to be recommitting to this platform this year. I know my people are here. I know that the people who are meant to find me are going to be here. And if you would like, you can always share this episode with anybody you'd like, anybody who you think would be interested in learning more about connection, about joy, about authenticity. That's how we can help, grow together. All right, everyone. I love you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.